What's poppin', everybody? Welcome to Culture Popped, Season 1, Episode 14. I'm your host, Josh McDonald. I'm here with my co-host, Aaron Sparrow.
Hello.
And I'm hiding tonight because I just got into a fight with a raccoon.
I told you to stay out of the woods.
Okay, so that's only a semi-truth. Actually, it's because my internet is sucking terribly tonight. So I decided to turn the camera off. That way I'm not hearing or saying, hey, I can't wait. You get penis. So, you never know.
I like seeing when you're all.
I'm sure someone somewhere has screen caps of the crazy faces I make when it freezes on me.
I know, right?
It's probably Max von Priestley because I take screen caps of all of the stupid stuff he does. So it's probably just payback.
You ever pause a movie and you just happen to hit it on just a really unflattering moment for the celebrity that's on the screen? They're like, it looks like they're having a stroke, and you're like, oh my god,
all the time. Well, we are joined tonight by a returning guest who's back for his monthly duties on Pop by Culture to give us his top 5 comics of the month, and that is Drew from Comics Lead, aka Dolan. Drew, when I first put you guys backstage, I thought your knee was your foot, and I was like, dude, that is some like weird looking feet action going on there. But if it gets me likes and subscriptions, I'm all for
it. Hey, whatever works at this point, Like I work for Brie Larson apparently too. So yeah.
Drew, your audio is pretty coming through pretty garbled for me. I don't know if you heard that, Josh. But...
it is a little garbled.
Maybe my headphone microphone. Let me try swapping this out. A second.
Yeah, you sound like we're calling you, and you're like in the space shuttle, and you're like one small step for it's that kind of quality.
Give me 1 minute.
You sound like what I imagine Britney Spears would sound like if she actually sang using that headset mic she wears, but doesn't actually sing through. Maybe,
it's all
allegedly.
For show?
It's all for show?
I liked the concert recently where Cardi B was throwing stuff at people in the audience and stopped singing, and it was obvious that she just lip syncs to her stupid songs.
Didn't she throw the microphone or something?
Yeah, and then she's just standing up there, and the song's still going, and she's quite a talent.
I'm gonna make a risky attempt here for a second because it seems like my internet's wanting to cooperate. So we're gonna see. We're gonna challenge.
Can you guys hear me?
Oh my god.
Oh yeah, you're loud and clear.
Oh,
you're coming through, buddy. Oh, did he die? Did we lose him?
No, I'm here. Hold on a second.
Perfect. That's perfect.
That's better. That's the right level.
Okay,
that's good.
There we go.
Awesome.
It's funny because we were talking backstage before the show and just getting prepped, and there was none of that technical difficulty. It's only once we went live that all of a sudden.
Always. It never fails. There are plenty of times where I don't have internet issues, and the moment we go live, it just like I get that little 1 dot bar, and I'm like, oh crap.
If you guys get to be in darkness, then I get to be in darkness.
Well, I want to be lighter, but this light that I have right here, when I go bright enough that it makes me bright, it's too damn bright, and I'm just like, so.
No, that's kind of mine too. Like after a stream, like I'm like, oh, why do I have a headache? And I'm like, oh, because I've been staring into this light the whole time.
Right. Oh no, my internet's dropping. We'll see. We're gonna try to hold on. We're gonna hold on to faith. So we have a pretty packed show tonight. I want to go ahead and get started. We're going to kick things off with the top 5 comics of August. I mean, why else would we bring Drew on, right? I mean,
yes, exactly. Why else?
Come on.
I love it. Actually, before we get started, let me say hello to some people in the chat real quick. We do have Eric Breen in the house. Eric said, could Aaron pretend to have internet problems too?
I got real problems.
Smile. Did you say you have real problems?
Yeah, I got life problems.
Do you have are your problems like Jay-Z? You got 99 problems, but ain't one.
Ain't one.
That's right. Hey. We got Nadia in the house. What's up, folks? Nadia has a new show starting with a group of ladies. This Thursday, Nadia? I saw the banner for it, but I can't remember the details. So let me know, and promote that. We've got Ivan Sanchez. What's up, Ivan? How are you, sir? And we have Mark McGrath. The Gotham War has one teeny problem. It does have one teeny problem. I'm sure Drew will be talking about that at some point on another channel. We're trying to keep it to the good stuff here. So, Nadia, yes, Thursday. And what's the name of the show you guys are doing, Nadia? I can't remember. 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time.
That's a weird name for a show.
I know.
Very specific.
We'll see if it pops up in a second. But yeah, she's got a whole group. We've got Nadia, Mags, Nomi. I'm trying to think of who else is in there, but a good group of ladies doing a show together, talking about nerdy things. And these are real nerdy girls, not fake nerdy girls. So
I love it.
Yeah.
Welcome. So they're not going, oh my God, Corgi's on the covers of Star Trek. Oh.
Here we are, Dames Dorks on the Inside All Day podcast YouTube channel. Ooh, so the Inside All Day podcast is Nadia's podcast that she does with her husband. And this is going to be Dames and Dorks.
I love it.
Love it. Worth it. So going into last month, I guess I gave Drew the task of, hey, each month, do you think you could potentially come up with a top 5 comics for the month to present on the show to kind of help steer people to some good content? And we're doing it at the end of the month just to kind of help hopefully drive sales. So if you didn't pick something up, you can check your local comic shop when you go there tomorrow. And if they've got a copy, you can grab it and you can thank Drew later. And then you can also thank me and Aaron because, we have him on the show.
Drew, I'm looking at your picture over in the Culture Popped Season 1, Episode 14 box. And out of the corner of my eye, I caught it. And I for a second, I thought it was Zod. From Superman 2. It's just the shirt is open and just I was like, is that Zod?
That is great. Oh my God, Aaron, because of you, I think if I ever go to a Halloween party or whatever, I'm gonna try to find something similar to that costume he had.
Oh, that would be fantastic.
Yes, I think Drew. I think that picture is from Dallas Fan Expo.
Yeah, but yeah, it's like, wait a minute. You know what? I kind of sort of have the receding hairline that Terrence Stamp has. I have the hairy chest that he does, so I think it's off. Yeah.
It's just like out of the corner of my eye. I was just like, there's that intensity, the way it's cropped and everything. I was like,
what is this? What's going on? We had a few more people hop in the chat. So we've got Zach's here. Zach says, hey, Drew.
Hey.
We have, the MVP himself, Max Von Priestley, coming up with 5 this month was a challenge. It wasn't that much of a challenge.
No.
I mean,
if the industry ever gets to a point where you can't name 5 good books out of the entire output, then it's probably already over, but then it's definitely over.
Oh yeah. Nadia's happy to see Max. Max is happy to see Zach's, and then Max is shrimping for Nadia. So shrimping is code for simping.
Shrimping ain't easy.
Shrimping. Hey, shrimping ain't easy. I mixed 2 things there, so get a little Fat Albert. Pimp Fat Albert. How about that? That needs to be a comic book. Pimpin' Fat Albert.
Well, it's not, considering who did the voices for Fat Albert, it's not a stretch to think that they would all be involved in criminal activity.
Oh Lord. I love it. Let's go ahead and kick this off with the top 5 comics. Drew, I don't know if you had these in a particular order. I just did them in the order you sent them to me, and I didn't number them to be safe.
Okay. First up. Okay, yeah. So this was my overall number 1 pick of the month.
Okay, nice.
1. Yeah.
So we got. Go ahead.
Oh, all right. Yeah, this was my overall number 1 pick. I wasn't expecting it to be my number 1 pick because. I'm sure Aaron is a big Conan fan. I know Max is a big Conan fan. I know Wes is a big Conan fan. So we're gonna be really holding the stakes up against it. What you got, and they did a great job with this. Jim Zub did a terrific job introducing a new audience, if you will, to reintroducing a familiar audience to Conan as well. It's a Conan fighting an undead horde by the end of this. I'll gladly take it. It is fantastic. Art is fantastic. It has a great Silver Age vibe. of course, there's dozens of covers. Can't really go wrong. Yeah, this was fantastic.
I like Jim Zub. I like a lot of the stuff that Jim Zub does. So I'm glad to hear he's knocking it out of the park on this. He seems to have a real gift for stuff that's like swords and sorcery type, Dungeons and Dragons, anything that kind of like is along that fantasy that fantasy kind of genre. I think he does really well. So I'm glad to hear that this is good.
Yeah, it's really good. It's
No, I was just gonna say agreed. I like a lot of what Jim Zub does. I really love this issue. I thought it was nice. Go ahead, Drew.
Yeah, so if you only know it from the recent Marvel series at all, I mean, this is almost an unfiltered Conan. You have bodies being dismembered, decapitations, you get titties. It's awesome. It's just it's what you want in a Conan comic.
Everything that fires a kid's imagination.
Drew, this is a family friendly show. We say boobies here. Oh.
Since when is the show family friendly?
It's not. It's not. I often say stuff that makes it not family friendly, and I'm often saying it without realizing it. And then I'm like, well, that was a mistake.
Sometimes you pop into other shows and you say things that are not family friendly, and we all go, whoa.
I often pop into other shows and say things that aren't family friendly. It's my approach to eliminate the competition, get them banned. No,
everyone monetized.
So, Drew, you mentioned the Marvel aspect. So, for those of you that don't know, Marvel had gained the rights to Conan 4 years ago?
Yeah, back in like 2018, 2019. I think 2019 they got it back.
Okay, that's right. And other than the Dark Avengers, was it Dark Avengers? I think
Savage Avengers.
Savage Avengers. Yeah. Other than Savage Avengers, which started off solid and then just kind of wandered away into oblivion. Yeah, nothing good came out with Conan at all.
Yeah, and it's funny you mention that because when they kicked off the Conan run initially with Jason Aaron, it had a strong beginning, but then right around issue 5 or 6, it just really veered off course fast. And it was the same thing for they did like a Savage Tales of Conan. Not long after that, they launched.
Mm-hmm.
It was a bunch of short stories. First issue was good, but then it just, once again, veered off course really fast. It felt like they didn't have a long-term plan for these books.
Well, and then Jason Aaron, completely kowtowed to one lunatic on Twitter complaining about his run. And one character.
Yeah.
It's just like he just completely fell apart and like couldn't bow and scrape enough to one person who was offended by a character that he introduced. And it was pretty much over at that point. It's like once you look, I don't care if you're male or you're female. You need to have balls to write Conan.
Yeah, agreed.
I should say, it's just you gotta have some steel in you. You gotta have a little bit of fight. And once he like just proved that he had no spine, no backbone, just laid down, and I donated all the money that I made on the issue to causes. Once he did that, it was like, you know what, I can't respect anything you do anymore, and you shouldn't be on this character.
Not just that, Robert E. Howard is probably laughing at you from beyond the grave right now. How much of a pussy you
are. True. So very true. We've got Jana in the house. She said sup boners. And Omega Man Drew, he wants to know, Hot Girl number 2 taking the top spot. What happened?
Well, it may be the second one now at this point. I don't know. It could be a second. We'll see what happens.
It could be. We all love what Jadzia Axelrod is doing over there.
I highly recommend reading Hot Girl too. I highly recommend it. If you just read a bad comic, like when you read a comic and you're like, that didn't really land for me. I'm not really satisfied. Then go read Hot Girl 2, and then you'll go back to that other comic and be like, this is pretty damn good. I don't know what I was thinking. It's a nice it's a palate cleanser.
And I'll back what Aaron just said. I will say if you're an aspiring comic book writer and you want to see what not to do in a comic book, read that. Take away from it. It's like, okay, everything done in this comic, do not do. All right, then you should be fine.
Mm-hmm. Just avoid it. Just avoid all of these things completely, and you'll be good.
Yes.
You'll probably be pretty good.
Nadia earlier was talking about the Conan movies and how she saw the second one before she saw the first one, but she was a kid, so it's acceptable. And as Zach's was saying that there's no wrong answer except the Momoa one. That's wrong.
I don't have a big problem with the Momoa one, honestly. I mean, I have one big problem with that movie, but overall, I'm like, it's fine.
It's fine. Paradox. So Daniel, one of the writers that I was working with that had one of my scripts, was the VP of Paradox, which did that Conan, and I was with him at the time that came out. So that was interesting for him to be like, "So, what'd you think?" And I'm like, "Yeah, it's fine.
It has all the elements of a movie."
Yeah, that Jason Momoa, loved the plot. So
I don't think Momoa was terrible as Conan. It was a bad script. It had moments like there's a moment where it's like, I have to find this guy, and you're like, okay, he's got to find that guy, and then it just cuts to him walking into a bar and finding that guy, and you're just like, oh, all right, sure, why not? But it does have Rachel McRedhead in it, whatever that actress's name is, who escapes me right now, who was also Scarlet in the god-awful G.I. Joe Rise of Cobra movie and was like the only bright spot.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that was the beginning and end of her career, I think.
I think Conan really killed it, because she had a TV show, she had some things going on, and then she did Conan, and then it was like everything, it was like, okay, well, now you have a TV show, and when that's up, who knows? But it's a shame, because I thought she was the one bright spot in G.I. Joe: The Rise of Cobra.
Oh, she was in Star Trek. She was in the first Star Trek J.J. Abrams movie. She was the green skin girl in bed.
Oh yeah, she was the whatchamacallit, the in the original it's the Orion slave.
Yes.
Girl, but
yeah.
Jane is asking if it's Nadia Manga.
Sure, that's her name.
Yeah. And Nadia said, "Manga is cool." Hey, so Drew, this might be a question for you, but Nadia is asking, she wants some horror comic recommendations. Do you have anything for her?
There may be one coming up in the top 5 of the week. Another I would recommend is Pentagram of Horror by Marco Fontanelli, who's a terrific artist and soon-to-be terrific storyteller. Was it Black Caravan? I think it's the name of it. They're doing some good stuff.
What was the zombie book that came out?
Oh, Life Zero. It's really damn good. Marco Cicchetto on the art is fantastic.
Oh man, Cicchetto's so good.
What's the name of the book again?
Life Zero.
Life Zero. That's it. Nadia, if you like zombies, Life Zero is a really good book, and Marco Cicchetto is a freaking excellent artist.
He's also a total sweetheart. So you'd actually be supporting somebody in the industry who is just a kind and wonderful human being, as far as my interactions with him.
Yes,
I back it too. Yeah, he's great. He's big Italian teddy bear, so I call him. Yeah.
Yep.
Very nice. So Nadia, there's at least a starting point for you. I'll try to do some a little digging and see if I can come up with some other books and throw them your way. We're gonna go ahead and move on to the second pick for the month, and we've got, in no surprise here, big game number 2, Mark Millar. Sorry, habit of saying Millar now. Mark Millar. Along with is it Pepe, right?
Pepe Larraz, yeah.
Yep. So Drew, go ahead and give us a rundown on this book. What's it about? What's happening? Why is it good?
So, big game. If you're in the chat, you're not familiar with this. This is Mark Millar's big crossover of all of his characters, all of his titles. They're all merging together in this big crossover event for the first time. And issue 1 was good. For a longtime reader of Millar's work, it felt like a lot of setup to me, which is not bad, it's fine, but it's like I wanted more action in it. But I understand if we're bringing new readers who are familiar with reading Wanted for almost 15, 20 years ago, they're going to need to know who these characters are. But issue 2 picks it up big time because we are introduced to his characters called the Chrononauts, or as Richard Meyer calls them, the Time Bros. They take the super genius Prodigy. They take him into the past, 1985, to prove that superheroes did exist at one point. They see this Superman type character. They get back. When they get back, things fit hits the shan very, very fast. It turns into a godforsaken bloodbath throughout the rest of the comic, which is awesome. And if you want to see a great crossover event that's very kinetic, it doesn't bog you down with mindless dialogue. They got a lot of action, interesting characters and relationships. This is it. You cannot go wrong with this.
Agreed. This is probably one of my favorites that I read this month. And it's it's one of the things, like, I've always enjoyed Mark Millar. I've always enjoyed his stuff. There's been a few things here and there that just didn't connect with me as much. But I feel like lately, like ever since kind of jumping back in with King of Spies, I just feel like he's freaking knocking it out of the park. Like everything he releases is great and beyond, as opposed to like, oh yeah, that was a solid book. Like he's just killing it right now.
Oh, absolutely. If you compare him to about 10 years ago, where he'd be on and off about 10 years ago. Where like he'd have a good one, maybe it's not so good one, but now practically everything he's putting out is great. I'm always recommending a book he writes every week because they're just that great. Or maybe that's just telling me just how bad everything else is that week. I don't know.
Well, yeah, no, that's a good point. He's, even if you go back and you read the stuff that maybe didn't resonate with you, 5 years ago, 10 years ago that he was working on, it's so much better than almost everything that's being produced today that you can't help to view it in kind of a new light. And I love the fact that he's sniping, big name artists from Marvel and getting them big paydays. Like Pepe Larraz. Pepe Larraz deserves to be on a book where he gets a big payday. He deserves to get that. He's a fantastic artist, and there's so many good artists out there that Millar could work with and actually give something exciting to draw, as opposed to just people sitting in coffee shops having boring ass conversations, or going to a nightclub that actually looks like a huge warehouse, and there's people 400 yards out, and talking about their feelings and I don't know if I'm supposed to be here, all the slice of life nonsense that we have to put up with today. Like you can actually get an artist, and Mark Millar will give them something that's interesting to draw, that they're going to be passionate about, and they're going to deliver their A game on.
Yeah, you're right.
You're good. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, if you read Nemesis Reloaded, he had Jorge Jimenez on that, and that is just balls to the wall action. It's what a Batman comic should be. That Mark Millar's telling there.
Yeah, it's like so many of the writers in comics these days have forgot. It's like they're not great writers, a lot of them, most of them. And it's almost like they've forgotten that they're in a visual medium. And, I'm all for slice of life. I don't mind it. But in comics, you need to keep in mind, and especially superhero comics, you don't get the benefit of like you do with movies or TV shows where you have actors actually performing. And while the writers aren't as good as they used to be, a lot of your artists, especially on these big two books, are also not very good. So you can't even get that to fall off of. It's like subpar on all fronts. And, and it's kind of what we're talking about. You read something like this, even some of the stuff that we've talked about stuff in the past that like, yeah, it was good. And it's really not that it was that good. It was just okay to good at best. And it just was way better than everything else that came out next to it. But when you compare it to greatness, and I do think Big Game is more in the level of great, it just, everything looks so much better when you put it next to a pile of shit.
Yeah, and like you think about all the events that Marvel has been pumping out every month, or what DC's been pumping out every month. I mean, one issue of Big Game had me more emotionally invested than all 46 tie-ins of Night Terrors.
Oh, and you're familiar with all the characters in Night Terror, so that's even more damning.
Yes.
It's like with Big Game, I'm not necessarily aware of all the players. I haven't read each of their individual books, so there's characters that are coming in that I don't know anything about, but because they're better written, I'm immediately more attached to them than characters I've spent years following because I no longer recognize them. They're no longer characters. They're just self-inserts or mouthpieces for the writer.
Yeah. And one of the things that makes Night Terror such a bad situation was that it was such an easy concept that should have been so good and so simple to deliver. You're essentially taking the concept in a way of Nightmare on Elm Street, throwing these characters into their worst nightmare and telling a short, like 2-issue story for most of these characters and like a 3 to 4 issue story for the main like arc.
Yeah.
And everyone failed. It's like no one got the memo.
Yes, and you know who did a great job with that back in the past in the 90s? A guy named John Ostrander with Tom Mandrake on the Spectre. Mm-hmm. They knocked it out of the park. That was effectively the same premise. The Spectre pretty much being like the Freddy Krueger to all these criminals and all that. And it's like, that's your blueprint right there. You did it like 30 years ago. Go to that.
None of the current writers have read things from 30 days ago, much less 30 years ago.
Oh man. I loved what Drew. Were you the one that sent like what we think of when we hear comics from 30 years ago, and then like
yes, I
comics
said
from
that
20 years ago and actual comics from 20 years ago, and I was like, holy shit, he's right.
yeah, I said that. Yeah,
when people say like 30 years ago, and you think like, oh, the 70s, and then it's like, no.
Yes.
No.
Well, I think the 80s, but okay, like early 80s, but sure.
Well, no, you'll get like situation like if you think about it, if they made Back to the Future today, Marty McFly would be going back to the 90s.
Oh God, wow, that just makes me sad.
Yes, it does. Yes.
We got a few comments here. So Omega Man said, got around to reading The Ambassadors over the weekend, and I loved it.
Nice. I do recommend. Yeah, read King of Spies. You will love King of. If you love James Bond, or reading Old Man James Bond, check that out. It's 4 issues, and Mark Millar killed it on that.
Absolutely. And he's timing these books really well. Like Ambassadors, the trade comes out right as Big Game is kind of launching, and just really good timing because people are inevitably going to go pick up the trade for Ambassadors, find out, that there's random connections between all these books going on in Big Game. Oh, hey, we're only on issue number 2. Easy to catch up. Go grab it and read it. Zach said he's watching Millar's new Netflix show based on American Jesus. Now, Zach, I'm gonna ask you. I know you were unsure of it. I think an episode or 2 in. Have you changed your mind at all? And Drew and Aaron, I have not read American Jesus. Have you guys read American Jesus?
Is it American Jesus or is it The Chosen?
Yeah, it's called Chosen. Yeah, it's called Chosen on Amazon or Netflix, but it's American Jesus in the comics.
Okay, no, I've never read it.
Okay, yeah, the first volume was really good. He wrote it like literally 20 years ago. He wrote it, and I remember reading it when I was in high school. It's pretty much just about a kid wakes up one day. He discovers he's able to heal the sick. He can turn water into wine, and just do these miracles, but with a twist. And it's good. Yeah, it's good.
Did either of you ever see the show? It was a Netflix original called Messiah.
No,
it was decent, but it was kind of like a similar situation where you had a guy from the Middle East that could suddenly perform miracles and was claiming to be pretty much the second coming in a way. So
I tend to avoid stuff like that because I don't know if you guys remember when I think it was like ABC or CBS or somebody did like a Noah movie. And it was ridiculous, and they made fun of it on Saturday Night Live, where they were like, "Now that the writers of that have taken on Noah, they're gonna tell the greatest story ever told, the story of Jesus." And it shows like the behind the scenes, and Will Ferrell is Jesus, and one of the other actors is Peter, and he's like, and the director goes, "Action," and Will Ferrell goes, "I don't have a script." And he's like, "No, it's fine. You guys all know the Bible. Just kind of like act it out." And he's like, and Will Ferrell's like, "I'm not comfortable with this." And he's like, "No, just come on, like just just do the story as you remember it." And they're both standing there awkwardly, and then he goes, Will Ferrell really uncomfortably goes, "Hey, Peter," and then the guy playing Peter goes, "Yo, Jesus." and then it's really awkward, Jesus. And then it cuts to like the final product, and they're like, Jesus is working for an ad agency, and they're sharing an apartment, and like he's at the end of the bed like doing curls while while Peter's like cooking in the kitchen.
Hey, it's a Marvel comic. How about that?
Yeah, pretty much.
I'm always worried that it's going to be something like that, where it's like just well, what's our take on the material?
I think I've discussed this with y'all before, but my favorite Jesus parody was actually from Mad TV when they had Terminator go back to save Jesus.
Yeah.
Stop it! Stop shooting Judas! But he will betray you. I know he's supposed to betray me.
There's a plan. Why?
It's great. If you haven't seen that, you need to go look it up. Mad TV, Jesus, Terminator. You can thank us later. You'll have a good laugh. We've got Cope in the house. 15 people in this piece. We jumped up to 19. We're at 17 now. 11 likes. Come on, people, hit that. As the poll says, either smash the like button or caress it ever so lovingly or gently, whatever I put in there. I don't know. I've had a drink since then.
Max is one of the people that drops out because he just has to pop in when he's on break from class. So.
That's right. Or he could just be based and watch this during class. Come on, Max, because I know you're going to watch this back.
Come on.
What a nerd. And I can't. I got school to do. Okay, Billy Madison. 6 is Google's. Where did the term balls to the wall come from? 6, if you get an answer, you have to let us know.
I'm fairly certain it came
punching it on a motorcycle and then flying off and just right into the wall.
From what I gathered, it was from playing beer pong. Like we would say that back in like 0405, balls to the wall. We just tap on the table, tap on the wall, and start playing.
Well, apparently it goes to something prior to that. Copa says it's a pilot term from World War II where they put their balls to the wall and go fast. Who's gullible? This guy right here. Wow. Oh, Lord. Let's see. Oh, Janet's getting aggressive. What? She's Persian, y'all. Watch out. She might shank you or something. You don't know.
Ooh.
Like
keep you on your toes. Love it.
Yeah, that's right. Mark McGrath, but Miller's work still has an edge, but most of the wallowing and the horribleness is gone. His writing has matured. I agree. I do think his actual skill set as a writer has gotten better. He's always been able to tell what I would consider like cinematic stories. Which was, a huge benefit to comics there for a while. But now he's really kind of getting those finer details of just like the language that he writes and the dialogue that he writes is top notch. And not
just that, is the pacing I'm noticing with his books have ramped up. It's not as like slow and uneven as it used to be, but it's very steady pacing, and that's what I dig about it. Everything is very kinetic in his books.
Yeah, well, he's coming in with these shorter stories now. Like he's got a very distinct story to tell. He knows how many pages he has to tell it, and he just like lets him kind of just punch these stories as opposed to like kind of carried out. Will I or won't I get to continue on or not? Will we get canceled? So I think that helps, and he's consistently putting enough stuff out that you're not having that issue of, oh, this is great, and then you wait 6 months to a year before it comes out again, and you're like, I'll pick it up at some point.
All right, Drew, what's number 3? What's our next big...
what is number 3?
Hey, there she is. You want a little bit of horror, a little bit of it, a little scooping of it, if you will. Ice Cream Man number 36. This series has been fantastic. It's hard to believe it's been coming out since like 2018, I think, 2017, 2019.
Mm-hmm.
W. Maxwell Prince, terrific storyteller. This issue in particular, it's a very somber story, but it has some elements of horror and some elements of humor as well, which really do go hand in hand. So you have a father who's a fisherman. His daughter was more or less swallowed by a whale, and he goes out to the docks, says he needs some bait, and everyone in the town is like, "Dude, what is wrong with you, man? No, she is not still alive in the whale. She's gone." And eventually he gets the bait, goes out to sea, and he meets up with the whale, and things get a little crazy from there on out.
They fall in love.
That would be a strange twist. But there are some characters in here that, if you're familiar with it from other whale tales, they do show up inside the whale. And the overall story I take away from this is that if you follow W. Maxwell Prince, the writer, on Instagram, he's always posting photos of him with his kids. They're like going out to the park, they're having fun, they're watching cartoons, and he's enjoying that time he has with his kids. And with this one, for this guy, this father, it's that he never got a chance to say goodbye. He never said his final words to his daughter. He lives with regret. He never spent time with his kids, and now he's trying to find her. Trying to do what he can. Hopefully she's still alive, but she may or may not be. It's a terrific story. I really recommend this.
So I'm behind on Ice Cream Man. I have not read this issue yet, but one of the things I like about Ice Cream Man is, let me put it this way. I started late because just seeing the covers, I was like, I don't know if this book is for me. And then I kept seeing everyone praise the hell out of it and talk about how it's one of the best books that's getting published. And I feel like it's consistently stayed one of the best books that's getting published. But it always delivers in ways that you do not expect.
Yes, exactly. Each issue is different. There haven't really been any two-parters as far as I know. Each one is its own standalone issue. Although there are some subtle similar imagery that shows up in the issues. You know, you got like your ice cream man, you may have a spider, or some other imagery. But yeah, each one has its own self-contained story, more or less, and that's what makes it terrific.
I have never read a single issue of this series.
Oh, do check this out, Aaron. Yeah, there are some of these are really, really damn good.
Yeah, I don't know what I thought it was, but like I would always pass on it because I would just be like, I don't really know what this is. But yeah, you guys are giving me FOMO, man.
Yeah, definitely worth it. Some of these issues are weird. Some of them are really emotional. Like some of them are super like reflective, I guess, in terms of
going through rehab. That was a very, very strong one. Yeah.
And I feel like half the time that I'm reading some of this stuff, I'm like, there's a deeper meaning here that someone's going to pick up on that I haven't picked up on. That's going to make me want to reread it and be like, holy shit. So if you haven't read Ice Cream Man, I know it doesn't look like, well, especially some of the other covers, wouldn't look like something you'd typically pick up, but definitely worth your money.
And I will say, I follow the artist as well on Instagram. He draws these all by hand, as far as I can see. And the pencil and line work he puts into the whale, it is insane. Especially when you see like the gummy, not necessarily teeth, because whales don't really have teeth. They have like a gummy membrane, whatever. But like it looks amazing.
Heck yeah. We have Mrs. Sassy Sasquatch in the house. She is here. She apologizes for being tardy. Mrs. C, you are never tardy in my book. Hello, welcome. I'm happy to have you. Cajun, for some reason, is asking any other French people here. Maybe it's because it's Cajun. I don't know.
Hang out the French Quarter. Yeah.
Bonjour, Corey. Parlez-vous français? Oui, oui. Yeah, welcome. We're happy. Oh, yeah. Look, Max is jumping in too. Highly recommend Ice Cream Man. Yeah, it's just not a nice surprise, and something that too many people probably are not checking out because of the look and judging a book by its cover. And this is definitely one of those that you don't need to judge a book by its cover.
You don't. It's unpredictable. You never know what you're going to get. And honestly, each page, because of that, I'm afraid of what I'm going to see because every issue is so different and unique. The very first issue followed around a deadly spider, and that was killing people throughout a town. And like yet these other similar story sort of tales pop up now and then. And it's like each page that I'm turning, I'm waiting for something to scare me, but I'm like sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. That's what makes it great. So unpredictable.
Nice. The next book is going to be Fire and Ice #1.
Woo, yeah, this one. So this is based on an animated feature from the 1980s, I believe, or late 70s, early 80s, based around some art by Frank Frazetta. But the name has escaped me. The animation studio that did this. That wasn't Don Bluth. I forget who did it was an animated feature back then, but and I guess Dynamite got the rights back to publish the stories from the animated feature and these characters, and they have Bill Willingham writing it, and it is fantastic. This is a great jumping on point for anyone if you're not familiar with these characters. If you love sword and sorcery tales, you love barbarians, this is it. Beautiful women, yeah, you're gonna love this. It's terrific. And there was some controversy a little bit because I believe Roy Thomas and Jerry Conway were involved in like the original story or the storyboard art stories, and they didn't get any recognition for their work. But I don't know the complete story on that. But yeah, other than that, it's a terrific jumping on point. Another terrific sword and sorcery story.
Does it have any ties or relation to Conan at all, or no?
No ties to Conan. Completely different property, but the signature character is right. I think it's like Dark Wolf. I think it's Dark Wolf is the character's name, but he wears that cool mask. He's got a big axe. He is badass. I love it. He shows up a little bit in issue 1, but they're teasing more in issue 2.
I actually make head sculpts of Dark Wolf so that you can turn your He-Man action figure into Dark Wolf.
Ooh.
Boom.
Ooh.
Now, Drew, to be an asshole, I have not read this yet either. I passed on this because I know some of the Frank Frazetta stuff that's coming out was kind of questionable in quality. So when this hit, I was like, I'll pass. He did some art. But fortunately, it's not put out by Opus Comics. It's put out by Dynamite. Right. So Dynamite had
better and more money to put toward a better writer, Bill Willingham. So,
well, I'm glad to see that Dynamite does that on occasion.
Yeah, on occasion, like Darkwing Duck, sorry, no kidding.
Oops. What are we
No,
doing there?
but in all honesty, like Bill Willingham is just a perfect choice for this. Bill Willingham is such a spectacular writer. I was telling the guys in the chat on Sunday, like some of the books that he wrote that I was reading when I was a kid that I probably shouldn't have been, but that showed me that like you could do more with comics than just straightforward superhero tales. You could actually tell some pretty like dark and gritty and really complex human stories. And it was Bill Willingham's work that first showed me that. So I'm glad he's knocking it out of the park on this.
Yeah, he's also one of the rare writer artists as well. Well, he used to illustrate more back in the 80s and 90s, but not so much anymore. Now he's just
used to draw for the D&D monster manuals. That was like the first time I saw his art. Yeah, and then when I saw him doing Elementals back at Comico in the day, and I was so young. I should not have been reading those books, but I was absolutely blown away by his art style, and I recognized it from the monster manual because he would use a lot of like D&D creatures like manticores and things like that in Elementals. So it was a trip to like recognize his art from those old manuals that I used to just pour through.
It's amazing how many talented artists used to work in those manuals. Like I learned from like Cartoonist Kayfabe. I think like Tim Truman and like Steve Bissett, John Taliban did some of that art too. I think.
Mm-hmm.
Heck yeah. What I was going to say earlier about being an asshole was I started to find the cover for the other Fire and Ice #1 and put it here instead.
There is another Fire and Ice #1 out this month.
Yes, it's terrible.
How about that? But it's not based
bad.
Not based on this, obviously. It's based on the characters of Fire and Ice from Justice League. Yeah. And in true current modern day DC fashion, just absolutely is abysmal.
Oh yeah, it was literally like, what if we had Schitt's Creek, but in the DC universe with Fire and Ice, and they're gonna run a hair/nail salon? Nobody fucking wants that. I love Schitt's Creek, but nobody wants that at all.
Schitt's Creek is good as Schitt's Creek.
Agreed.
It's not good as like, well, what if we did it in the comic books?
Right.
I feel sick.
We were talking the other night about like a world where like every TV show from like it was back in the day, like I had like comics from the TV show Sledgehammer. Marvel put out like 2 issues. And like they had an Alf series and we were like, what about like shows that were popular that like should never be translated to comics, but what if they were? And we were like, yeah, I just need to find Alice #2 to complete my run. Apparently some pretty crazy shenanigans happened at Mel's Diner in that issue. We just started like naming all these old TV shows like like Trapper John or
Manimal.
Did you get the Dallas Falcon Crest flip book? I think that was really good.
Falcon Crest flip book. Earlier when I was talking about judging a book by its cover, Cajun Corey said he judged Death Rage by its cover, mostly because one of the issues I got in Dallas had boobs on it. It caught my attention.
I'm gonna say that most of the covers from Merc have boobs on them.
I was about to say most of that booth has boobs. They're boobs galore.
If you said that you got a cover without boobs on it, that would actually narrow it down for me, and I'd go, I think I know the cover. But if you say boobs, I can't. Could be anything.
Yeah.
Merc is like the Oprah Winfrey of comics when it comes to delivering boob covers. They're like, you get a pair of boobs, and you get a pair of boobs, and you get a pair of boobs.
It's true. It's true.
We're all getting boobs.
But the thing is that guys like Drew, me, Joe, Murphy, we all work really hard to tell a compelling story between those boobs.
And that's why people like them. They come for the boobs. They stick around for the story. Everyone is happy. Why not? It's
you
like
gotta get butts in. Like, look, Merc's philosophy is you gotta get butts in the seats, and what gets butts in the seats? Boobs.
There you go. Completely. Even as a gay man, I'm fine. I like boobs. Boobs are fun. You can play with them. Apparently, there's a mutiny going on in the chat. Jana and Nadia are forming a Middle Eastern alliance in here, and no one is saying anything. Way to go, Patriots. What happened to see something, say something? Guys, if you see something, say something.
I never understood that phrase because I see things all the time.
Yeah.
He followed up. We have all let George Bush down.
Well, he let us down first. So what are you gonna do?
Yeah. Next, we're gonna see George Bush dodging shoes from Jana and Nadia.
Now, you know what? When they chucked the shoes at George Bush, like how proud would you have been as an American if he not only because he dodged it, so we were like, oh, good on the president, dodge the hurled shoe. But what if like he dodged the first shoe, the guy threw the second shoe, and Bush jumped up and did a roundhouse and kicked the shoe back into that guy's face? Like you would have been like, holy crap! I don't know what this guy's policies are. I will vote for him forever. We would have.
Aaron
says,
like,
"Are you volunteering?" Are you volunteering to write that book?
Yeah, I'll write that book.
There you go. Do that.
That would have been a moment where we all would have just gone, and I'm proud to be an American.
Oh my God, I love it. Let's go ahead and go on to the final book of the week, and we've got Sacrificers #1 by Rick Remender.
Yeah, Rick Remender, to me, he's very hit or miss. There's some stuff that he'll do is really good for some stuff that's not so good. Like, I wasn't a big fan of Scumbag. I didn't care for it. And whereas he's got stuff he did at Marvel, like the Uncanny X-Force, I thought it was amazing. I loved it.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
That first run of Falcon Cap he did, I really loved because it was a Captain America story with Falcon thrown in as trying to fill the role of Captain America, but being completely different from Steve Rogers, and I thought it worked.
Yeah, when he's focused on telling a story and not an agenda, he's a great writer. And this is one. It's back to old school for him. So it's effectively you have a family of these bird-like people. They're like birds, but they're preparing to make a family sacrifice to these gods. And at the same time, it's juxtaposed to these gods we're led to believe on another planet that these bird people worship. But you kind of see these gods really aren't so much gods. They're having these very family. You see the family relationships could play off one another, just how different they very much are, just how close the bird family is with these gods. They really just don't like each other. The daughter's the original pain in the ass, and it's great stuff. And you see that these gods are gathering up these people that have been sacrificed to them. What are they going to do with them? I don't know. It's a great read. I really do recommend people check this out, and the art is beautiful.
Yeah, who's doing is it Max? Is it Fumara? Is that how you pronounce it?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
I know that the name sounds familiar, but I can't place it. Like I can't think of anything else he's done.
Yeah, neither have I. Yeah, this is the first time to me I think I've seen his art because I would have recognized the style, but he killed it.
Agreed. I purchased this book. I've not had a chance to sit down and read it. It came out last week, I believe.
No, this came out I think 3 weeks ago.
Okay.
Yeah.
I picked this up too, but I haven't read it. Yeah, Remender. I agree with you about Remender. He is very hit or miss for me. I often say that he, and I think that it was originally. I had this discussion with my friend who was at Ape Entertainment, and then later was at IDW. But he and I had the same opinion about Remender, whereas like we usually like the idea, and then we don't like where he takes it. So it's like Fear Agent was one of those books where it's like I really love the idea of Fear Agent, and most of the stories when I get to the end of each arc, I was like,
oh, wow. Yeah, he definitely has an issue of not sticking the landing. I think with some of his stuff, and then like Drew mentioned earlier, but Uncanny X-Force I think is probably in my top 10, maybe top 5 X-Men stories, maybe. I don't know. There's been so many I'd have to go back and kind of like really assess. It's hard when you start looking at runs as opposed to individual stories, even though I do think that's a relatively tighter story. Yeah, I got to pick this up. Got to re-get it. This makes me want to look up Max Fumara, find more of his stuff because just the look of it is it's so unique, but without trying too hard. You've got too many artists that try too hard to be different. And they lose their storytelling in the process, but this looks like it's going to be a solid take.
That's a cover that gets you to pick it up off the rack and flip through it. That's a really solid cover. It's different. It's interesting. It's compelling. You'd want to see what it's about.
Yeah, and you can tell Rick is really letting the artist tell a lot of the story in it, which is great too.
Absolutely. We've got Jay Lucian in the house. Hello, Jay. How are you? Welcome. And then Zax has a comment for me. Josh, listen to me. Don't go near a window with the ladies or wear a pair. What? Don't go and... I don't get it. What am I missing? Am I going to get pushed out the window? Is that what we're saying? Because I like boobs? And it's just awkward laughter. Okay.
Oh, yeah, I don't understand what's happening.
Yeah.
I don't either. I don't know what's going on.
Did you mean parachute pants?
Way, like, where I'm like, I'm reading Hot Girl 2, and I'm like, what is happening?
Yeah, is that an inside joke I'm not aware of? Yeah.
I don't know. I don't think. I mean, if it's an inside joke, apparently I'm not in with that joke. I must have missed something somewhere. We do have two kind of random comic book comments that I wanted to get to. So we got Omega Man, Batman, Catwoman, The Gotham War, Battle Lines #1 has currently has a 2.7 out of 5 rating on League of Comic Geeks.
Woo! Oh man, that is shocking. I'm honestly kind of glad it's getting that low review because that comic is just a heaping amount of Triceratops shit.
I was gonna say that sounded high.
Yeah. But what's funny, a lot of times like we'll go back and we'll read like a lot of 5-star reviews in a lot of these books. Like I honestly think Hot Girl #1 has a higher ranking than that Batman, Catwoman, and Gotham War. So yeah, one thing that we love going through there reading the 5-star reviews, and they're pretty interesting.
Yeah, I mean, one of my favorite things is when y'all do go through and read those 5-star reviews, and I'm usually in the chat like trolling with the comments that these at least the critics that review these books and how they're like full of depth and meaning, blah blah blah, best book ever, and it's like the stupidest, most like shallow book we've read for months.
Well, you notice the reviews, they never get into like, this is a really poignant moment for the character because thus and so, based on their history, and the writer really drew, because it's just all fluff. All of these writers that are doing these comic reviews want to work for Marvel and DC. They want to be able to write crappy books like this. So they want to keep getting free books to review. So they just praise everything. Yep. But the problem is with praising everything is that your word is meaningless. Your opinion is meaningless. Like being one of those people that just claps like a seal for product and then get excited for next product, your opinion means nothing. I have friends who just are like, oh, Ahsoka 1 and 2 are so good. And I'm like, were they? Because you like everything, and I, and in a way I envy you. I wish I could just turn my brain off and just see pictures on a screen and get excited and think that it was good sometimes. Sometimes I really do wish that because obviously I would get a lot more out of entertainment. But I can't stop analyzing the story. I can't stop analyzing the actions of characters. I can't do it. And therefore, I am not going to enjoy things that are bad.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think too, we have to look at some of these people that are quote unquote critics that are, I mean, kind of what you're saying. A lot of them are just there to please, but some of them like, it's clear that the only thing that matters to them is what most of these comics are delivering, and it's an agenda. There's not any storytelling, there's not any plot or depth or characterization. It's just
even conflict.
Yeah, here's political ideal #1, and this is what's going to make this book great. And I will kind of preface this with, if you don't have anything to do for this upcoming Sunday, you should watch Max's Man Cave, because you're probably going to see some of these critics that we're talking about, along with some of these writers for our cringe videos. So it's a free plug there, Max Von Priestley.
Oh, we're doing cringe videos this Sunday?
Yes. Did you see some of the videos I put in the group chat?
I didn't watch them, but I saw that you posted some stuff, and then I saw that I saw that you guys were thinking of doing like crazy.
Aaron,
so it's like I should go in fresh.
Aaron, I watched them, and let's just say I wanted to blow my brains out after 20 minutes. After it took me 20 minutes of listening to Vita and Danny Lore before I checked out. I couldn't finish it. It's a 2-hour video. I checked it out for 20 minutes. Couldn't finish it.
Oh man!
Just judging by how I react to Vita and Danny's tweets most of the time, like I can imagine what a video will do to me.
Oh yeah, absolutely. The other comment here that's comic related is the 3 issues of Green Lantern Corps that Bill Willingham drew are fantastic.
Yeah, and another thing I will recommend, if no one's really familiar with it at this point, Fables. Please do check out Fables that he wrote for 10, 15 don't know, 20 years.
Yeah.
It's a terrific, terrific series. If you love the grim fairy tale stories, the characters, check that out.
Disney was actually looking to license it. And then decided that it would just be easier to just rip it off and do
Once Upon a Time.
Once Upon a Time, yeah.
We have some clarification on Zach's comment from earlier. Sweet Summer Josh, Janice people have a habit of shoving gay men to the window, and she's forming a militia. Well, I'm just going to stay here in the great old country of the red, white, and blue. That's what I'm going to do. Jay Lucien said, my buddy defends Ahsoka too. They're just treating the lightsaber wounds like real life non-fatal injuries. Yeah, okay, buddy.
God damn it.
Yeah,
It diminishes everything that meant about the lightsaber. Everything. If they're just a flesh wound.
And I'm gonna go off on a tangent here, but you see people doing the thing and they're like, well, you didn't complain when Darth Maul came back after getting cut in half. And I'm like, yeah, I mean, a lot of people did, actually. A lot of people were like, well, that's kind of stupid. But I will tell you this, there is precedent within the Star Wars universe that if you are on the dark side, you can use your hate to sustain you. That does not apply to the Jedi, or especially to non-Jedi, that they can do that. Darth Sion in Knights of the Old Republic 2 has basically had his body shattered over and over again and is holding himself together through sheer hate. Darth Nihilus is on a Star Destroyer where the hull is ripped open to the vacuum of space, and he's keeping all of the people on the ship alive and himself in the vacuum of space, just due to the dark side. So there's tremendous power in the dark side of the Force for those sort of unnatural things, but on the Jedi side, there's not that. Of course, until we got the stupid, Rey heals a Force snake and all of that in the other non-canon fanfic movies.
Yeah. So I'm watching Ahsoka for Roman of the Empire's channel. We're doing streams every Thursday to discuss the show, and I haven't watched the animated shows, so I didn't watch Attack of the Clones, and I didn't watch Rebels, so I'm kind of lost.
Clone Wars,
sorry. Mm-hmm. Clone Wars. So I'm a little bit lost in terms of certain things, so I'm trying to gain understanding of some of these characters from the people that are familiar with it. I will say, I'm not saying the show is good, but it looks like there's some actual effort from a technical standpoint in terms of how they film it, because it doesn't look like utter garbage SNL recreations like The Mandalorian season 3 did. So,
yeah, or even Mandalorian season 3 looked like a fan film, and not a good fan film. I've seen better fan films. And then Obi-Wan, there were several scenes that I was like, did they just shoot that over in Merino Valley? Like they just drove out towards halfway to Palm Springs, and then just shot it in like an abandoned wheat. It's just like so little effort put into the sets, and you can totally see it even in the CG with the laser gate that I'm sure they were like, okay, so the laser gate, they have to blow it up to get past it. And when they did it, the VFX artists were just like, well, this made it so you could just walk around it, and him like shooting the thing to blow up the laser gate is like totally pointless. They actually did put some effort and spend some money on the special effects and things in this. Unfortunately, it's serving a story where the characters are all bland. And they weren't bland in the Rebels cartoon. They had a lot more life in the Rebels cartoon than they do here, and where the story is boring, and just and it has the same stupid MacGuffin as the J.J. Abrams films. We need to find a map in a temple from millions of years ago that somehow points to where a guy is right now.
Yep.
It's the Goonies 3.0. Wow.
And then they have the little puzzle, and it's a little puzzle that like, oh, what does this puzzle mean? And like Sabine turns it in two moves that you could do by accident, just messing around with it, and unlocks it, and it's like this big triumphant moment. And I'm like, that's not even as hard as a Rubik's Cube. That's not even like, like you could have made it a holocron and made it more like the puzzle box from Hellraiser, where it has all these different configurations. You could have done so much more that would have been interesting if you had to use a stupid to find the thing, to find the map, to find the person MacGuffin again. You could have come up with more interesting visual ways to do it, and they don't. And I'm tired of people saying like, everybody should just hand Star Wars to Filoni. Filoni gets Star Wars. Filoni has a character in this show named Morgan Elsbeth, who's a witch. He named a witch Morgan. the most basic bitch thing that you can name a witch. He's not deserving to be in charge of Star Wars. He doesn't get Star Wars. He's just writing a fanfic like everybody else for his little waifu Ahsoka, who should have died during the Clone Wars, as George said, because everybody who was connected with the Jedi should have been killed because Luke is the last Jedi, with maybe the possibility of Leia, as established in the original films. Rant over.
Rant over.
Mic drop.
Yeah. I look, I really don't have much more to say other than I'll just say the villains are actually halfway decent, aside from the witch. But the two,
because it's Ray Stevenson.
Yeah, and his little
good.
like evil looking hench lady person
And
who doesn't really talk; she just kicks ass.
I love Mary Elizabeth Winstead in anything,
Ooh.
So I it's weird to see her like covered in all this green makeup, and then her Leku don't even work right. Like there's a scene where she's walking and it gets like caught on her jacket because it's just foam. And they don't reshoot it or fix it or anything. It just kind of like, and then just boing, it bounces off, because, and you're just like, it just takes you out. I feel so bad for her. My dear sweet Ramona Flowers.
Nadia says I have to watch Ahsoka for my stream, and I've been avoiding it. Look, it's not as bad as some of the other Star Wars stuff that's come out. So
it's better than Book of Boba Fett, but what is it?
I guess you have that to look forward to, but there's plenty that will make you mad because it's just like, why? Why?
It's not as bad as Obi-Wan. It's not as bad as Book of Boba Fett.
Have they shown Thrawn yet?
It's not even as bad as Mandalorian season 3.
No, not yet. I mean, they showed him in the trailer for like a split second. But they're only 2 episodes in. They haven't gotten to him yet. I can't think of the girl that's got the colored hair. That's like the Mandalorian. Sabine. Yeah, she is by far the most annoying character. Like. Yeah, I hate her.
They repeat scenes a lot too. Like, the thing with Filoni is he's doing all these like really these scenes that are supposed to be dramatic, like her and Ahsoka like standing there staring at each other, and it's like, yeah, that has meaning if you watched Rebels, but if you didn't watch Rebels, the audience is like going, what is happening? Are they lovers? What did they bang? Why are they looking at each other that way? Like, there's just so many things that like are left out, and there's so many things that he stretches out. The opening, it's like 11 minutes of Ahsoka walking to a place with no like dialogue. And it's like, it's just so padded out. And like I said, they repeat scenes where characters have virtually the same conversations and discuss the same things. It's wheel spinning. It's a lot of wheel spinning.
I made the comment on Roman's channel that these first 2 episodes could have easily been 1 episode and it would have been way more effective and way more enjoyable. I actually fell asleep watching the first episode. So
you're not the first person who's said that.
Yeah.
Mark McGrath put.
Mark McGrath said all 3 leads are trying to outstoke one another. Completely agree. Zach says Ahsoka is basically 3 wine moms on a European tour with less tension and no boobs. I mean, you're not wrong. I can't negate that. Also, how many? So many long takes of people staring at each other. Yes, that's kind of what Aaron was just saying. Like there's clearly built-in backstory there, but if you don't know it, and most of these people are not going to watch those animated series, they're not gonna get it. Yes,
there are so many meaningless stares in this show that every time it happens, they have to pay the Twilight movies a royalty. That's how many ridiculously long stares. That's Commander Sabine to you, Josh. That's right. Yeah. Commander Sabine, General Leia,
Oh, man. Yeah. Anyways, I didn't plan on going on an Ahsoka rant. Maybe I should have. I've been trying to save Ahsoka so I can keep it on Roman's channel. There's also a conversation about my gayness going on. There's some rumors out there. Okay, but Josh isn't really gay. Stop saying he is. And Jana, Josh is the straightest gay man ever. I don't know about that. If I ever see something that makes me really excited, I get kind of gay. I do the gasp. So yeah. So side note, fun story. This was back before she became one of the most hated people in the United States, but back when Kathy Griffin was actually enjoyable and somewhat funny and was doing her stand-up shows and kind of ragging on everyone in Hollywood who was terrible, she came in my store once, and this was probably like 2007. What? And I did the gasp. I went, like that. And she goes, well, we know he's gay. And just out loud in the store. And I was like, that's fair. That's fine.
It's like, yeah, fair.
Moving on to the next topic, I kind of wanted to touch base on the writer strike because we got a bit of an update last week where we had the producers kind of come back to the table. They had a discussion with some of the leaders of the WGA. They delivered a negotiation, and this is pretty much the first negotiation they brought to the table since the strike started. And it was interesting because they made some ground on some of the stuff that the WGA wanted, and the WGA outright rejected their proposals. And I wanted to bring up these things because part of me is like, you guys not understand what a negotiation is. Like, I feel like
your audio's. I don't know if it's just me. I don't know if it's just me, but your audio went crazy.
Yeah,
went
it's
crazy.
a little crazy. Yeah.
Can you hear it still?
Now,
There we go.
I think it's because I had my phone too close. Are we good now still?
Yeah,
Yep.
sounds good.
Okay, cool. So I just kind of wanted to go over some of the original requests or proposals from the WGA, some of the initial, I guess, comebacks from the producers, and then the latest negotiation that the producers put forward to try and resolve the strike. So one of it came in from minimum pay increase, and the original proposal from the WGA was a 6% increase in year one, a 5% increase in year two, and a 5% increase in year three. The producers came back with 4% in year one, 2% in year two, and 2% in year three. So that was the initial comeback that the WGA was like, this is absurd. We're not taking it. So they came back and they did a 5% increase for year one, a 4% increase in year two, and a 3.5% increase in year three. And the WGA is like, absolutely not. So I want to, like, if as writers, and Aaron, you've been on an animated show, which I know this is a little bit separate from a different,
Different guild.
union.
Mm-hmm.
But if you had the producers coming saying like, hey, we're going to hire you on, and you're not necessarily making bad money, but they tell you,
The minimum's like $5,000 a week in a writer's room.
Yeah.
And they turned down what 11,000 last week recently. They said no to that.
I believe so. Yeah, that was part of it as well. And they said no, but they didn't say no because of that. That was apparently one of the things they liked. But they said no because of these other elements. But it was pretty much an $11,000 minimum to be in a writer's room for a week. And then on top of that, you're getting a 5% increase in year one, a 4% increase in year two, and then a 3.5% increase in year three. And I'll just put this out there, most industries, when they're giving yearly increases, your max is 3%.
Yes. Yeah, mostly
it's like,
ones I've worked, it's usually been like a 0.5%, if a 1%, if I'm lucky, it's an increase. That's, it's impressive.
100%. And this is one of the things where it's like, look, I'm all for getting more pay. I'm all for wanting, royalties and stuff. But you've got to be realistic in what you're asking for. And if you have yearly percentage increases that are higher than what most industry standards are, you should probably just take that. And I get that the conversation is, well, inflation is raising at a higher rate.
Well, then stop voting for who you're voting for, Hollywood.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, it's like, look, whether you're Republican or Democrat, like everybody knows if a Democrat's in office, your taxes are going up, and you're probably going to have inflation. You're probably going to have higher costs. That's just something that we all know and we all accept. So it's one of those things where it's like, well, what are you doing? Why do you keep voting against your interests if that's something that you're worried about? A 5 and then a 4 and then a 3 and was it 3.5? Was it? And you probably could have got him to 4 on that second one. So it was 5, 4, 4. You probably could have got him there because it's only another 0.5%.
Yeah.
You probably could have come back and maneuvered that, and that would have been a really good raise. I wonder though if the writers, the majority of writers, I think I'm sure there's a percentage of writers that would have been fine with that deal. But
sure.
But the leaders are like, no, that's not, we're not taking it. And there's probably writers that are on the picket line right now that are watching their bank accounts go whoop, 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 right now.
Oh,
going, oh God.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
especially with so many things going into streaming now, where they don't get the royalties like they used to get. Yeah, Copa put, sorry, my WGA homies, the apathy of the strike from the audience is deafening. Completely agree.
I know people who are saying that they hope the strike goes on forever. Like, you know, they're just like, and you know, it's facetious, but it's one of those things where it's like, you know, the garbage content that we've been getting, they're like, I don't care. I don't care if this keeps going. There's nothing coming out that I'm interested in seeing. You know, I've got all this back catalog of things I can watch on streaming, on, and you know, the movies, and you know, that leads into another thing we're going to talk about, which is you know, the fact that there's other stuff. You know, there's older movies coming back. You know, there's plenty of stuff you can throw up on the big screen. Yep. So they're in a real bad position, especially
real bad.
You know, the economy and the way that the movie industry is doing right now.
Yeah, and not just that, Aaron. What you're going to say, like, effectively, with the lack of quality we've gotten in the films and TV recently, I just see that as rewarding failure. That's what it is. All these percentages increases. A 3% increase for someone who wrote Avengers Ant-Man Quantumania? Fuck no. Doesn't deserve any percent. He gets a 5% increase. I'm going crazy. That's bullshit. Yeah. And it's just they get no sympathy from me. And honestly, they should be lucky to get a 1% increase, in my opinion.
Well, and then residuals too. It's like, you know, I understand that you want residuals, but like I think I said on Sunday stream, if you're a carpenter and you make me a table and I eat dinner at that table every night, I'm not paying you residuals on it. So it's very fortunate that there's residuals in the business at all, because you know, they're certainly not in the animation business. You know, and I didn't hear the WGA coming out when, you know, animators were fighting for a better wage. You know, we didn't have the WGA backing us. And
that's crazy. I had no clue about that. As a layman in the Midwest, Aaron, I had no clue. I would have thought any voice actor, anyone who worked on like X-Men or Batman or like Darkwing Duck, they got residuals for checks for years to come. But
no, the showrunners don't either. Like if you're an animated showrunner, like you know, you think Greg Weisman sees a dime from Gargoyles? You think
that's what I thought. Yes, yeah. I thought he was building like a fifth garage by this point. You know, but that's insane. That's unbelievable. Unbelievable.
They don't get any of that, and so, you know, it's really tough for normal people to look at the quality of stuff that they're getting, look at all the hate that's been directed their way from Hollywood the last couple of years, because they've said, we don't like what you're doing and we don't like your agenda, you know, your agendized entertainment, and we just want you to entertain us. We don't want you to preach to us. And all the names that they got called by Hollywood, and now Hollywood is surprised that normal people aren't putting any pressure on the studios to, you know, help them out and get them a better deal. It's like you've alienated the audience, and so you don't have that support. What did you think was going to happen?
Yeah.
And, you know, your jobs, you know, as far as the AI goes, I'm very sympathetic to that, because obviously, you know, it's like nobody wants to get replaced by automation. But, you know, a lot of your ilk were also laughing at the coal miners and saying, learn to code, when, you know, they were shutting down coal mines. And so this is kind of the same thing, isn't it? Where it's like technology is coming, you know, look, the automobile is here. The buggy whip is going to start phasing out. You can't stop the march of technology. And you either have to figure out how to work with it, or you need to learn to code.
Yeah, this goes back to the Twilight Zone back in the 50s. There were multiple episodes just like this. Like one was like, "You are obsolete," the obsolete man, or the other one where like a factory is being everyone's being replaced by computers, and eventually the manager is eventually replaced by a computer. It just it happened. It's going to happen.
It's, you know, and you can say like, you know, well, all AI does is plagiarize what's already out there and spit something out according to an algorithm. But that's all that a lot of these writers are doing either. So it's really hard to make a case to, you know, your normal layman who's not making $5,000 a week, isn't making $11,000 a week, certainly, you know, that, you know, and it's like, you're like, yeah, but we only work 6 weeks. Well, you still at $11,000 a week, you're going to make over $60,000 in 6 weeks.
Yeah.
All kinds of people would love that.
Oh yeah.
Most people live for the year under that amount.
Yep.
So I'm not saying that, like, I'm not saying I'm pro studio, because I'm certainly not. You know, I think those people, you know, definitely are giving themselves big fat bonuses that they don't deserve. You know, it's funny when you can have a company like Disney who has put out nothing but cinematic flops, but the you know, the writers don't get any raises. But the executives do. The executives that made the poor decisions and hired poor writing staff, and you know, they get their big bonuses every year, no matter what, because we need to keep those people.
Yeah.
So I'm not sympathetic to the studios at all, but I think that there's definitely some things that are reasonable to ask for, and some things that, you shoot for the moon, but you got to be willing to kind of come back on and meet in the middle, because that's what these negotiations are all about. And
Compromise.
you have to work with these people again in the future. And if you're out there being really obnoxious, and you're being like an Adam Conover, and you're like, let's go over there and interrupt it. They're actually filming something over there. Let's go cause chaos and interrupt it. What studio is going to hire you again?
So you think they won't remember?
Yeah. Of course they're going to remember. You're going to be on a list.
Yep.
Just like,
absolutely.
And you can't cry about it either, because you're making lists of YouTubers, according to things that we found out about the unions. You're making lists of YouTubers that don't support the strike to make sure they never get into your union, or that, have they've said anything, negative. So that's exactly what's going to happen. The whole thing is just nobody's operating in good faith, it seems.
No.
And I just wish that people were more reasonable in general. I don't know. It's complicated.
I'm going to touch on a few of these comments real quick before we go on a few of the other proposals that were shot down. But Copa put, the WGA has nothing to put on the table that will make the studios budge. I completely agree. That goes back to what Drew is talking about. So much of what people have complained about with TV and film recently has been the poor writing. So you don't have a lot of ground to stand on, or at least solid ground to stand on, to be like, well, we deserve it. Do you though? Do you? And there are some elements we'll get to in a second that I think are valid things to ask for financially. But again, you got to get back to that. What's a realistic negotiation? What is not? Nadia put, how can they expect any sympathy if they've been attacking fans for years now? That too, I mean, look at what's going on with Marvel and Disney and even Lord of the Rings with the Rings of Power. You attack your fan base so much. You call them bigots, racist, sexist. They're eventually going to back off. And that's what fans have done. They're like, okay, we're trying to explain why we don't like something for valid reasons. And you have decided that we're just A, B, or C because you don't like the criticism that we have about your product. So
we want to give you money. We want to give you money, and in return, we want to be entertained. And we're telling you, this is not working for us. I'm not going to give you money if you continue to do this. And instead of saying, okay, well, how can we get your money? You guys are telling us, no, we deserve your money, and you're just stupid. And it's like, okay, well, I'm stupid then. I'm going to take my stupid money, and I'm going to go away. And then you're like, where did all the money go? It's like, and as far as the strikes go, I understand you want residuals. If the company makes $1 bajillion putting out some film that you worked on or that you acted in or that you wrote, then, do you deserve a piece of that success? I would say yes. But here's the thing. If the movie flops and you were a big part of it and everybody hated your script, do you have to give the studio any money back for all the money that they lost? You don't. So in any kind of business, it's one of those things where you need to decide, do you want residuals over time? Do you want a little bit of money over a long period of time? Or do you want more money up front and you just do a better job of managing your money? So you can take the risk on whether or not the thing is going to be a success and take less money up front and gamble that you're going to make more money in the long run, or you can take more money up front. Those should be the two options, and you should be able to choose those as an individual. But because you're in a union and the union has to mandate for everybody and everybody has to follow the same rules, it doesn't actually make things better. Like, better writers don't get better deals. It just means that the better writers come down and the bad writers come up, and now you're on the same level.
Yep. Jana wants all the writers to know that they're hiring in retail. You could be one of the Gap girls and then go to the food court and have conversations about the customers that come in.
After all the Snow White debacle, I'm pretty sure I'm gonna be seeing Rachel Ziegler at the Santa Monica Trader Joe's.
Jesus, yeah,
telling me I made some great selections today.
You made some
poetic justice
today. This has been out for 85 years, and it's time for a change.
And Gal Gadot just nodding along like a seal, just going along with it. Yep. Just
Gal Gadot, who actually stood firm against Ezra Miller's nonsense.
Yes,
he was trying to get her, or trying to put words in her mouth, but here she is, just parroting all the things that she's being told to say. She thinks she has to agree with Rachel Ziegler. I was really done with Gal Gadot the moment that Imagine video came out. You know, like I was like, okay,
Yes.
you know, I can forgive this, but I'm kind of done. And now I'm especially done. I'm just, she's got that movie on Netflix, and I'm like, I will never watch that.
Yeah.
I don't even know if I remember the Imagine thing. I'll have to look it up.
Oh, you would know it. It was her, Will Ferrell, and like a bunch of other actors singing Imagine.
Because we were all in the pandemic together, Josh.
Oh, I do remember that. Yeah, no, I'm good. I'll pass.
Except you and Drew and I were all in apartments and weren't allowed to go outside, and they were on their big estates walking around on the lawn going, "Oh, this is hard." It's so hard. It was really inspiring when they all got together and spelled out "together" in their yachts in the harbor.
Yeah. Together with our yachts. We have the leader of the sheeple here, Flaccid Phoenix. Please pay them more. You know what, Flaccid? Go fuck yourself. How about that? I love you, Flaccid. Joker Voices in the house. Hell, at Pop by Culture, I had to stop by and interact with some actual people. I just watched the latest episode of Ahsoka. Ugh. Well, I will watch it either later tonight or tomorrow, and we'll talk about it on Thursday. Joker Voice is also on Roman's Thursday panel discussing this. So,
very nice.
Mark McGrath also put, if you don't like my politics, oh, wait. So,
I mean, if someone would have said, if you don't like my politics, please still give me your money, I would have at least respected that. You know,
100%.
I'm still interested in your money. I don't require anybody like my politics, but you know what? I also don't cram my politics down other people's throats, and I certainly don't do it with characters I don't own. And I didn't create.
Yeah, absolutely. Joker Voice also put Rachel Zegler at checkout will say, "You picked that? Weird, kind of weird." I gotta work on her whole like side talking about the side of her mouth because it's kind of cute and affected and oh.
And then I'll say, without makeup, you look like you have fetal alcohol syndrome.
We also have Ian Miller in the house. Hello, Ian. How are you doing? Let's go ahead and look at one of the other things that came up because I really do want to get your perspective on this because I think it's twofold and I think there needs to be some clarity in this. But one of the WGA proposals, the initial proposals, was for what they call feature second step. And that's essentially doing a rewrite. But they wanted a guaranteed additional pay for feature script rewrites and revisions for writers making 250% or less of WGA minimum pay guarantee. The initial counter from the producers was informational meetings with executives regarding concerns about writers' workload. So they're kind of like, okay, just have a meeting. We'll talk to you about it, which clearly got, I mean, in all fairness, you come to the table with something better than that.
Yeah. We'll talk about it. And we'll tell you tough shit.
Yeah, pretty much. The new proposal was guaranteed second step, so guaranteed rewrite for writers making 200% or less of the WGA minimum pay guarantee, and writers guaranteed to be given the first option of rewriting their own screenplay at no less than minimum compensation. So pretty much what's happening is, writers are getting hired to write a script, so they're getting brought on, they're getting their paycheck, and this is strictly for film scripts. And then the producers are coming back saying they want rewrites done. And the writers are saying, well, you should pay me because I'm doing rewrites. Now, I think this is twofold. I think if you deliver a really shitty script, there shouldn't be compensation. Like, your job is to write the script. You did not write a quality product. We want you to fix it. Please try again. I don't know if you should get more pay for that. Now, if it's one of the things where you write a script, everyone comes in and they say, hey, we love this. However, we've kind of changed our mind and we want to go this direction. Can you please update the script because we're changing our minds? Then perhaps, yes, maybe you should get some pay. What are your thoughts on this?
I mean, that sounds reasonable. Like, look, if I believe that it was Socrates or perhaps it was the $1 Million Man, Ted DiBiase, who said, if you don't do the job, you don't get paid. So if you don't deliver a workable script, I don't think that you get paid to revise it. Now, if they come back with a bunch of decisions that they just recently made because they met with 3 other people who they didn't talk to before, and they were like, well, wouldn't it be great if, or maybe we could do this, and then they're asking you to rewrite it based on that, then yeah, I think you probably should be compensated. But the problem is that the union is going to try to mandate a hard and fast rule for every kind of rewrite, as opposed to, different kind of situational things that might happen. So it's going to be tough because, you know, they're going to mandate it for everything. So if you're a writer and you just half-assed it and you phoned it in, and then like, hey, this isn't good enough, this isn't what we wanted, you're like, well, you better pay me to make it good. You know, you can't run a business that way. So I can understand it from the producer's perspective there. But if they're being unreasonable and they're coming back and they're saying like, you know, well, we have a bunch of now mandates from you know, the executive suite that we didn't have at the time when we first hired you to write this, and you need to do it for free. Hell no, you need to get paid for that.
Yeah, agreed. Drew, do you have any takes on this? I mean, also just you guys as comic writers and animation writers, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I would think, you know, if like you said, Aaron said, if the script was good, you're just doing some a basic second draft, like a polish on it, whatever. Yeah, maybe I would say get like a quarter of what your normal pay is, you know, because you're spending some time on it to rewrite it. It wasn't bad. You're tweaking it, you know, you're updating it a little bit. Just get a little bit of pay for that. That's fine. But like you said, if it's a complete page one redo, it's like, no, sorry, no, this, you know, you're not eligible for more pay on this.
Yeah, if you're hearing like, well, the deal is, you know, we're altering the deal because what the business needs are changed. Well, I wrote the script. You hired me to write the script based on what the business needs were at the time that you hired me. So the fact that things have changed on your end and you want something different now, you need to pay for that. You don't get to get me to rewrite indefinitely with all the ways that you're going to change your mind.
Agreed. We're going to move over to another kind of proposal that came out, and this is dealing strictly with streaming shows and films and residuals that come from it. So the initial proposal from the WGA was all streaming features budgeted at $12 million should be treated under the same terms as theatrical films regarding base selling price and residuals. So the initial comeback from the producers was they would provide a 9% increase in feature selling price for features longer than 96 minutes with a budget of more than $40 million, no increase in residual payments. So that was the original comeback that they had. They have since come back again with an 18.3% increase in minimum rates for a feature longer than 96 minutes with $40 million budget for a streaming platform with more than 20 million subscribers. Minimum for script now is $100,000 and a 25.7% increase in residual base to $75,000. That was rejected.
Wow.
And this is where I'm like, you got to pick and choose your battles. Like, I understand that you want residuals in case your show becomes the big hit on a streaming service. However, we're having to take, you know, streaming in general, and studios don't, like, they're not really making money off these streaming services. They're doing the opposite. These streaming services are sucking just the finances out of these companies because they're not getting the viewership or subscribers that they need. So these people are wanting more and more. I think in a situation where you're losing money, but the studio is still coming forward and saying, hey, we'll give you these increases. And again, 18.3% increase, $100,000 minimum, and a 25% increase residual base to $75,000. Like,
that's game show money. Jesus.
Well, it's like I said, that's more money up front.
Oh yeah.
That's way more money up front. So, you know, and we've all seen, like, the residual payments over time get smaller and smaller and smaller to where you're getting checks that are under $1. So, you know, the longer it goes, the less you make. So take more up front and just balance manage your money better.
Yeah, that's what I'm taking from that. What I'm taking from this is that these are individuals who do not know how to manage their money. That's what I'm taking this as.
Oh, at all. You know, we kind of talked about this with the what's his name? Billy Porter, and how he's already losing his house. And it's like, you know, you're an actor before you're a writer, but you've got producer credits. You do have some writing credits. You have a ton of acting credits. If you're already losing your house, because the actors have only been on strike for not even 2 months, 2 months-ish.
Yeah, it was like a month in. He was like, I can't make my house payment.
Like, you missed work. Like, I mean, what if your show got canceled? What did you think was going to happen? Like, I don't know. These people are ridiculous.
What are you spending your money on? Like, I'm sure that there's plenty of extravagant dinners and extravagant clothes and things like that. And you just thought that the money's just going to keep coming in, you know, but that's not the way it works. That's not the way it works for anybody.
You know, you know what I just realized? In about a month from now, we're supposed to be having possibly a government shutdown. So we'll see what happens.
Oh,
I can bust out my Ron Swanson gift of him, a gif of him going, "Best day ever."
Yeah, let's see. They're also trying to push.
When the government shuts down, everybody, all the politicians' pay should stop.
Oh yeah,
absolutely.
Agreed. Because you're not doing your job. So if you're not doing your job, don't get paid. Sorry.
They'll just have to get by on their bribes until everything restarts again.
Hey, I won't release those photos if you give me some of that barbecue you got there. Thanks, man. I do want to highlight Ideator's comment here. Actors and writers need a gag order. One stupid statement for a handful of trolls is disproportionate to the bad will it evokes by being stupid.
People need to be good brand ambassadors again. You need to be trained in what that means.
Yep, absolutely. Joker voice has to go to work. All right, brother, have a good night. Go get people drunk, and yeah, good times. I thought I saw something else real quick.
I'll probably jump off after this. I've definitely got to go take care of a couple things.
Cool, no worries. We can wrap up shortly after. One of the folks working with One Piece live action mentions, we see now that fans will watch if we are faithful to the source material. No shit.
If only fans had been telling you that for a decade or more. Ever since social media became a thing and fans could give feedback, you have had absolutely free focus groups available to you that you could have used to steer and steward your products. And I'm not saying that you go and instead you listen to niche 12 people on Twitter who are like, we need more representation. We need everything to be honor all of my ships. And those were the people that you listened to instead of the people who have been actually spending money. People like me who have all kinds of product behind them in their video of money they have spent on your IP. And instead you're listening to anonymous anime avatar people or furries on Twitter talking about which characters they want to bang. Those are the people you chose to listen to. Good job, Hollywood.
Aaron, Nadia wants you to know that you're spicy tonight, and she loves it.
I am. I'm kind of pissed off tonight.
I came into the stream angry. Take it.
Well, I just had to drop $1,200 on a new AC compressor for my car. So I came into this just kind of like cost of living outweighs the benefits.
Oh my god. Dude, I feel your pain. A few weeks ago, I dropped $1,500 on having to get new shit. I can't even think now. I was replacing my brakes, and I had to get the
rotors.
Yes, thank you. I'm so mind wiped at this point. Nadia also says, "I don't want anyone to be homeless, but their spending habits aren't my responsibility." 100%.
And he's not going to be homeless. He got the equity, whatever equity he put into his house when he sold it, he got that back.
Oh, 100%.
And probably a little bit of profit because the housing market in California is so stupid. So, he's probably got a few million in the bank and he's crying about, sell some gowns, Billy.
Yeah, Breen, sell some gowns. Some of his gowns are probably worth a shit ton. So, Ian Miller says, as a counterpoint, is there something anarchic and difficult to control that goes with the artistic temperament, even perhaps necessarily immature?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
But that's why you hire people.
Absolutely.
At that level, you can have people who, the first thing I would do if I had any sort of, financial success to where I could afford it is I have a friend that I would hire to be my personal assistant. And I'd be like, here, take care of all of the things that I am too scatterbrained to take care of so that I can just focus on being artistic.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fair.
I do want to look at one last proposal, and it's just artificial intelligence, since that's kind of one of the big things. So the original WGA proposal was ban on use of AI to generate any material under WGA contract or to generate source material as the basis for WGA work, ban on use of WGA work to train AI. The initial counteroffer from the producers was terms rejected, annual meetings proposed to discuss concerns around technological advancements. The follow-up that they had recently was guarantee that AI will never be recognized as a writer and that AI-generated material isn't considered literary material and AI will not be credited as the original author. Writers given base material generated by AI will be paid as original writers, not paid lower rewrite fees writers will be informed when given material generated by AI and will not be forced to use AI in writing process. So they're pretty much saying like, hey, we might have the AI come up with a concept for a story and give it to you and have you write it, but we're going to pay you as if you came up with it yourself and then go, run with it. And that could be where you keep 20% of it, or it could be where you keep 80% of it. So, kind of outside of the thoughts of, is it ethical to have AI in this industry? What are your thoughts on this? Do you think it's a fair comeback or not? Because my take is a lot of these writers, if they're in a rut, are going to go use AI to help them get something.
Mm-hmm. I would say use it if you want to start a movie and you don't know where to start. Use that AI initially for like a concept, and then stop after that. Do the concept, then stop it after that. Then we'll go from there.
The funny thing is getting into the, it's like you said, is it ethical to use AI? And let's be honest, Hollywood has never been concerned with what's ethical. So
that is so fair. That is so fair.
So and I think even the writers, I don't think can necessarily claim that they are 100% ethical. I think that it's just a business where that's not really a concern.
No,
so you have to take that into account. You have your personal ethics certainly, but don't expect this industry to have any ethics. As far as I'm concerned with the AI, it's here. It's going to be used. They're never going to not use it. So what you have to do is you have to figure out ways that you can negotiate and live peacefully with the idea that there are going to be concepts generated by AI. You look at the Star Wars sequels and what a train wreck those were. And then you see some guy online, he said that he told an AI to write him some Star Wars sequels. And it was a better, more across the plate pitch than what J.J. Abrams and Rian Johnson came up with, and Chris Terrio. Those abysmal films that didn't even have the spirit of Star Wars in them. Yet the AI was able to go grab all the Star Wars material that's out there and spit out something that could have been a jumping off point. So do I like it? No. Do I think it's inevitable? Yes. And do I think that they need to figure out how they're going to coexist with it? Absolutely, because it's here to stay.
Yeah. We'll end the WGA talk here. There were a few other things that were kind of some highlights, but it has to do with writer's room, terms, like the length of time you can be hired, and that type of stuff, which isn't huge. But I will say I do think the producers gave fair comebacks, fair negotiations. And I think at the end of the day, there's a lot of chaos going on because when all this started, they agreed to have negotiations in private and not release things to the public. And I know the WGA got pissed because the producers released all this to the public of what they came to the table with. And it's like, I feel like if you're a writer, you have to be mad because it's making you look bad. Mm-hmm. And it's not because they're phrasing in a certain way. They're being transparent and showing, hey, this is what we're offering. They're not accepting it. And it's, it's always perspective. I get you want more. I get you want to feel valued. But when you're making more than most Americans are making, there's only so much complaining you can do. And I get complaining about long days, long hours. Go anywhere where there's a retail manager or a restaurant manager that's not protected by labor laws, like people in California, where you're a salary employee and you're pulling 60, 70, 80, 90 hours a week on a measly 40 to 60,000 a year. It's really no different. Like
I was doing 70-hour weeks at Boom for $35,000 a year.
See,
but I was salary because they wanted to take care of me. And if there was ever a day where it's like, okay, so quitting time was like at 5 and I'm packing up at 6, I'd get the eyeball of like, where are you going?
Yeah.
I'm going home. And I'm still going to work for 3 more hours, but I'm going to do it at home.
Oh,
so yeah, it's like, this is, and that sucks. And I'm not saying that they should have to endure that because,
agreed,
other industries do it. No industry should have to endure that. But again, it comes down to empathy and sympathy and how much are you going to get from people who live with this every day. And, it's interesting because, we're also hitting a point where the VFX artists are looking to unionize because they need those protections because they are being worked to death and they get that crunch all the time, especially again, where Marvel keeps changing their mind. Mm-hmm. Now we want the ending to be this. So just redo everything.
Yep.
and have it done on time. You know, the original quoted time, even though you're starting over from scratch.
Oh yeah. As much as we shit on the Flash for how terrible the CGI was, most of that was probably so last minute done that they just threw what they could together as fast as they could and said, "Here you go, fuck off, fuckers."
We've redone this movie 18 times.
Yeah. Over 5 years.
Yeah. Aaron, I know you said you have to bounce, so I'm going to give you the opportunity to hop out now before we move on to the final 2 quick topics. In case people want to find you, where can they find you?
You can find me on Twitter. That is my handle there. On the global phenomenon part is not part of it. It's just at Aaron_Sparrow. You can find me there. You can find me on Instagram as Aaron Sparrow. You can find me on Facebook, but if you message me there, I'll probably never see it because I rarely go on Facebook. And you can find me here. You can find me on Wes's Thinking Critical channel, occasionally on Clownfish TV, and some other fun stuff that's coming up that I'll talk about more on the show as it gets solidified. So,
nice.
Thank you guys.
Thank you, sir. I was happy to have you as always, and
always fun.
We'll be in the group chat later tonight talking about some random shit. So.
You're talking about how spicy I was, right?
He was extra spicy tonight. He has some jalapenos.
He came in pissed and he didn't get any less pissed.
I'm gonna be like, Max, go do something to Aaron's car. He was on fire last night.
All right, show you gotta come jack my car. All right. Talk to you guys later.
Bye, Aaron.
See you, man.
So Drew, we just have real quick. We're gonna look at box office. Weekend box office. Nothing big. Nothing too crazy here. Pretty low, all things considered. Gran Turismo came in at 17.4. If I'm being honest, I thought it would have done a little bit better than this. Globally, It did okay. I mean, it pulled a decent amount globally, but I do think indie racing is bigger overseas than it is here, so I can understand.
You're 100% correct. I mean, Formula One racing in general is an overseas sport. It really is, and a lot of the car manufacturers are foreign companies. So that is where that market is. So yeah, it's natural that the foreign market for the box office for this film would be much higher than domestic.
Agreed. I do think they made a mistake though. So all these studios are kind of blaming the fact that actors aren't doing promotion as to why these movies are bombing.
No, I would. I mean, look. You have the sheriff from Stranger Things on there. Okay, great, that's cool. But he's not. I'm sorry, I don't really see him as a leading man. I just don't see that. And the young guy playing the lead, I'm like, there's no. I don't recognize the guy at all. He may have done something in the past, but I don't recognize him. I mean, someone in Duluth, Minnesota, probably has no clue who half the people in that cast are. I don't. I know that. I mean, there's nothing really drawing me in outside the Formula One cars.
Yeah. How are you completely neglecting Orlando Bloom over here? Like, what's going on?
Was that Orlando Bloom?
Yeah. Yeah, that's Orlando Bloom in the red jacket.
Oh, Jesus. He's lost a lot of hair. Damn. Wow.
Well, yeah, Orlando Bloom's in the red jacket. He's definitely, he's aging gracefully.
He's gotten older. Wow. Okay.
I mean, keep in mind, Lord of the Rings came out, 23 years ago? So, Yeah, I know, right? But yeah, I think what I was going to say, I think part of the problem here is, so this was originally supposed to release, I think, 2 weekends ago, and they pushed it back 2 weeks because they went the Flash route and decided to do multiple fan screenings to try to build up hype for the movie. And I think it kind of backfired because while people were like, yeah, it's good, it's kind of one of those, if you ever watched any type of sports movie where the underdog succeeds, then you've kind of seen this movie.
Yes, but and I'm willing to bet you, honestly, I'm willing to bet right now that Ford versus Ferrari is a much better film than this.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I have not seen this yet. I would agree with you 100% that it most likely is. And also, like, studios, stop holding all these fan events. Like, if you want to do a very small few as a kind of like special media type thing to push, fine. But when you're like going to major cities all over the world to be like, we're going to do a fan event here for this screening, all the people that really want to see this, they're going to see it then for free, and you're missing out on money. So stop. Other than that, for the weekend box office, Barbie's still kind of trucking along. We got Blue Beetle in its second week, pulling in 12.8 million. It's only at 30. It's only at 35.8 domestic and 81.5 global. It still hasn't met.
You cannot spin this to the degree where this is a positive. I do not see how Warner's, Collider, the biggest shows on DC can spin this to being a box office success or a success in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah, at all. It's not. I mean, you essentially have to triple your box office. I mean, you triple your budget to make a profit. And your global box office, it's like they might get to 150 to 200, but that would surprise me at this point. I
wouldn't be surprised if like sometime like 2 years from now, after it's been on streaming and now on DVD, Collider's going to put out an article, Blue Beetle has finally made a profit. How about that? They were holding on to that, waiting 2 years to say that. How about that?
Yeah. See, look, Ian's proven my point here. So Ian went and saw Flash at a free preview screening, and even though he liked it, he didn't like enough to see it twice in theaters. I'm kind of right there with you. I had fun with the movie. It wasn't perfect. There was stuff I definitely disliked, but if I saw a free screening, I wouldn't have gone back to watch it again. Wouldn't.
Once was enough for me. Despite seeing Nick Cage Superman fight the giant spider, I did not want to go back to see it again, unfortunately.
Jana, you're not the first person that's complained about this font. Don likes to give me shit about it all the time. I'm working on changing some of these slides, but it's a work in progress.
I dig it. It's not bad.
I think it's because it gets smaller. When it's larger, it definitely looks better. But when it gets smaller like this, it all kind of jumbles together. So box office, there's no major. I mean, I guess domestic. Barbie's taken over Super Mario for the best movie of the year in terms of domestic sales. Oppenheimer's moved up to 5th place and dropped Little Mermaid down to 6th. That's all there really is there. I don't think you were on last week, Drew, but last week's Sound of Freedom moved up into the top 10. So
that's insane. That is insane. And I just saw a news article. I don't know how true it is that Amazon and Apple aren't going to have the Sound of Freedom available to download. I don't know if that's true.
I think Amazon, Apple, and I think Netflix, they passed on it in separate ways. I do know that Elon Musk wants to get the rights to it to find a way to stream it on Twitter, which is really interesting.
That's huge.
Yeah,
that's huge.
It almost seems like he wants to do it for free. So the pay he probably it's going to be really interesting. Look, Hollywood's showing its hand, and we kind of talked about this recently. But when you have Netflix that's openly promoting things like Cuties, and look, I've said this before, and I understand the argument. The story of Cuties is about how those types of things that those girls are doing is damaging, and that parents need to be more aware of what their kids are doing. I understand that's the story. But you also still have a product where they are filming really young girls doing hypersexual movements and dances.
Yes. And not just that, close-ups of those spots.
Yeah. And, it kind of counteracts the point when you film it in that way. So, when you have a studio or a company like Netflix that's pushing that, but outright refusing something like Sound of Freedom, it speaks volumes. And Hollywood needs to kind of cop on.
Yeah. It's really bugging me that Ant-Man is still in the top 10. It's like I really wish that was gone out of here, but hopefully maybe by the end of the year it'll be bounced out.
I mean, I think the stuff that was going to be a contender to knock it out by the end of the year is getting put. Like Dune got pushed to 2024. And
Mission Impossible isn't even in the top 10. I am completely shocked that Mission Impossible isn't up here.
It got released it got released right before the Barbenheimer hype, and I think it just got lost in the mix. I do think it's going to do incredibly well on streaming or even on demand, so we'll see how much it makes back. Now, when you go to worldwide, the global market, Mission Impossible is doing better. It's in 8th place there. There were no changes to the list this week, so just
Oppenheimer's number 4. That is, I did not expect to see Oppenheimer number 4 at the
same.
World. That is wild.
It's one of those interesting things that Oppenheimer has benefited so much from coming out the same weekend as Barbie, and both kind of like creating that buzz, that conversation, and what are you going to see? What are you going to see? It made both movies an event, and I think it helped both movies tremendously. Barbie's currently in 2nd place for global. It's going to pass. It's absolutely going to pass Super Mario Bros. By next week. So
yeah, absolutely.
Interesting stuff there. But overall, the box office is not doing well. Hold on. Ian Miller says Ant-Man was dreadful. It really annoys me because Catherine Newton could be a great Stephanie Brown, just like Natasha. Yeah, I think there was a lot of potential with what they could have done. There's no reason Ant-Man Quantumania should not have been the best Ant-Man movie because of the stakes that were put into it with Kang. And they just completely fumbled that ball. They dropped it.
Yeah, to me, it just became too much of a punchline, became too much of a joke, just like most of the Marvel films. And nothing was really, it didn't really feel like it was taking itself seriously. And
at all.
Couldn't, especially, I'm trying not to think about the film because it's just going to piss me off. But yeah.
Yeah, same. But no, I was going to say the box office isn't doing too well. Multiple studios are facing loss after loss after loss after loss with their films coming out. That we have studios now announcing that they're re-releasing certain films to try to gain up some type of money, some type of box office. But Collider announced that the Christopher Nolan Dark Knight trilogy is going to be hitting theaters again. Drew, other than like, hey, I plan to go see this because I'd love to see this again in the theater, what are your thoughts on this?
Like everything you just said, Josh, it makes 100% sense. And plus, it costs them next to nothing to do that. It costs them nothing. I mean, the theaters are making the most money. All the concession stands, and everything. Like I know Flicks Brewhouse, when they show older films like Roadhouse, that costs them nothing. They're making money off the meals people are spending and the beer. They're making a fortune. It's like this is easy money that costs them next to nothing. This is guaranteed money. And I do know for a fact, like you said, I will be there for all three films. I cannot wait to watch Batman Begins again in theater.
Same. What's interesting too is like it's not uncommon for us to see films get re-released. You have certain theaters that specialize in that, and you have like anniversaries. Like if it's the 20th anniversary, 25th anniversary, they'll come out for like a week or 2 weeks, whatever it might be. I remember when Jurassic Park came out in 2013 for its 20th year anniversary. I went and saw it in the theater again. My theater was completely sold out. And it was probably the most full I'd seen a theater. The only exception would have been 5 years later when Infinity War Endgame came out. So it's just studios are desperate, and if nothing else tells you, hey, the stuff you're releasing isn't working and it's not catching on to people, when they start releasing these things for no reason other than to like, hey, let's try to get some sales in.
On a more recurring basis, that is a problem.
Yes. Yeah. When these films start getting better sales than the new films coming out, that's gonna say something, and it makes
it's like little segue. It's like the comic book company, like when Dane DiDio was getting upset when the old facsimiles were selling better than the current books. This is
exactly what I was about to say. Yep, you had those old facsimile issues that were coming out that were outselling almost the entire new line. It's just crazy. It's sad. But this is where hopefully people will get their shit together. I don't know if they will or not. Start focusing on story, start focusing on delivering a good product instead of just delivering a product. And, it's what fans deserve, it's what fans owe. And if you deliver something that's good, you're more likely going to get good sales out of it. Now, again, exceptions, Mission Impossible, great film, didn't catch on for whatever reason. That's always going to happen. But the fact that blockbuster after blockbuster after blockbuster is failing is more a sign of what they're doing wrong, not what they're getting right.
Yeah, and like if these are showing more and more of these older films more frequently, they weren't as frequently as they used to, but they start doing them and they start doing well. I mean, I honestly wouldn't be surprised if the studios were just like, you know what, we're just going to stick with this model. We're just going to re-release all our older films every weekend.
Well, also, if you come in and you market it, like if you market this as 1 week only, you have one more chance to see it in theaters. People are going to flock to it. And if you go ahead and open on a Friday night or a Thursday night, whatever you want to call it, like normal new films, you're going to get that weekend push because people know it's not going to be around for the next weekend. You could deliver.
I can guarantee you if who owns the rights now? Probably Disney. If Disney re-released Aliens in theater, they said Friday night, the 30th anniversary of Aliens, James Cameron's Aliens, everyone would lose their flipping mind. I guarantee you every theater would be sold out.
Yep. And then, hey, you might get an Aliens #1 comic book
Another one.
Oh no, I meant the one that's already out. They'll just give it away because.
Oh, Barry, if they have the right to it, they re-released the original Dark Horse #1 of Aliens to go along with it.
That would be better for sure.
Yes.
Yeah, I'd already kind of had suspicions that Marvel was going to start doing this, and it doesn't surprise me that Warner's doing this first. Warner's trying to, offload, source out whatever they can do with whatever projects they have to get money. But I think you're going to see more and more studios doing this more frequently in the very near future. So.
Yeah, with Marvel, it's going to be interesting because I think they would. On the other hand, I don't know because, we know they're trying to get over the new Captain America, the new Falcon Cap. Would they want to re-release Captain America: The First Avenger and then do the New World Order film after that? It's like, oh, why are you selling this when you're trying to push this guy now? And I think there may be a little bit confusion.
Yeah, I also think Disney's still trying to desperately hold on to Disney Plus. I think Warner Brothers has all but said, well, this shit's not working. What else can we do?
Re-release Zack Snyder's Justice League again.
They've already taken a lot of their HBO shows and given them to Netflix, and I think if anything was a draw for Max, it would have been the HBO shows above all else. And they're already kind of like, well, nope, put it to Netflix, they'll pay us. So, we'll see.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting fall. That's all I know.
Oh, agreed. But hey, don't worry. The Marvels is coming to save us all by the end of the year.
It's the shortest Marvel film to date, under 2 hours, I think.
Oh, is it really the shortest Marvel film to date?
Allegedly, that's what I read. I don't know how the exact time is, but they said it's supposed to be the shortest one.
Yeah, we'll have to see. ENS your comment was Barbie good. Is that why it's going to be #1 this year? I haven't seen it. I've seen a lot of mixed opinions on it. I've seen people that have absolutely hated it, people that loved it. So it seems like it's just whatever your take is on satire and sarcasm. Some people say it's demeaning to women. Some people say it's demeaning to men. Some people say that it's demeaning to this ideas that we've created as American people. Who knows? I would say watch it, make up your own mind. I'll probably see it at some point, but I'll probably wait till it comes out on streaming, if I'm being honest.
Yeah.
Drew, so to wrap things up, what do you got going on? Where can people find you?
Woo! So I'm working on several scripts right now. Like today alone, I was working on 3, jumping from one to the next to the next. It's just amazing. You're steadily going. Improving art on one issue, doing a pitch for another, working on a second draft for another, just jumping from one fire to the next. But I got some really exciting stuff coming up pretty soon. Some of which Josh, one of which please, I can't wait for this to happen. I hope it does happen. But I got big announcements coming later this year. One I can talk about is a big Counterpoint crossover comic I'm doing with Marat Michaels. All of his characters, Naughty and Nice, Battle Fairy and Yeti, Pray for the Sinner, Demon Slayer, and others, they're all together in one massive crossover. So that's coming later this year. But stay tuned at New York Comic Con. There will be hopefully a big announcement, as well as potentially another announcement. Ooh. And hopefully I can make Josh get the scoop.
Heck yes. I'm excited for everything that you're doing, and I'm proud of you. And honestly, I think a lot of times we talk about how good things should happen to good people, and I think you're so deserving of the work you're getting, and I hope it just gets more people aware of the talent that you have as well, and the growing talent you have. Because it's very strange, Drew. I sincerely feel like you've become more humble as you've gotten more work, and most people do the opposite. But I talked to you one day about how good does it feel to be writing these comics, and you made and this was at Dallas Fan Expo, but you literally made the comment like, I'm doing what I love, like I'm literally doing my dream job. How could I not be excited? And I was like, for real though, dude. But you still care about delivering something that's good. You put thought into your work, And just each day I see kind of this growing glow, but you're growing and doing more things too. So I'm like, couldn't happen to a better person, and I'm stoked for you, and I can't wait for these announcements and these books to come out.
Yeah, and I can't wait to show these pages. I really, because I've shown you some of the pages, some of the stuff, and it's just, oh god, when you're confined, where it's like you want to just show everyone, but it drives you nuts when you can't share it.
Trust me, I know what that's like. I will say you can find me at Joshua L. McDonald or at By Popped. You can also find me here every Tuesday. We've got other videos coming out. I had a little bit of a discussion with the boys Sunday night that we have a show that we're going to do called Marvelous Monday, because I think I have the show linked in the description. But on Max's show, we started discussing our favorite MCU characters, and it was kind of fun to reminisce about the good old days when stuff was actually good. So Marvelous Mondays is going to be the first Monday of each month, and we're going to revisit a Marvel film and kind of run through that timeline. But I kind of mentioned to the guys, hey, if you want to be a part of this, let me know. And they all seem they're interested. So it might be us doing it. You might have special guests, but that'll be coming in the near future. So keep an eye out for that. And other than that, just say, hey, what's up, loser, to me if you see me either in public or on the internets. And yeah, I'll be on Roman's channel Thursday, Max's channel Sunday night for Max's Man Cave. I will not be on Thinking Critical this Saturday because I'm working, so womp womp. But I'll be back next Saturday. So all good times. And yes, gross Josh. Thanks, Jana. Get a room. Yeah. Look, Drew's the one that gets handsy when he hugs. That's all I'm going to say.
I'm a hugger.
He's a hugger.
It happens. Yeah.
But yeah, chat, thank you so much for coming in, hanging out with us. Thank you for the good comments in the live chat. I appreciate it. Make sure you share, comment after the live stream, so that'll be in the regular comment section. And I will see you guys all next week. Peace out, Girl Scout.